right, pal.
Hey, Dad. Do we have a gun?
What's that?
Do we have a gun?
Why do you ask that, kiddo?
Can I play with it?
No, absolutely not. It's not a toy. You know that. Anyway, I need it to protect you, your sister, and Mom.
But what about the 8 kids who get shot every day by mistake?
Where'd you hear that?
Where do you keep it?
It's hidden.
I bet it's on the top shelf of the closet, under your sweatshirts. Is it loaded? Remember when I found my Christmas gift? You always told me to be curious.
No, that's not what I meant.
And when it's just me and Mom, I could use the gun to protect her.
No, Justin, I promise. I'm always here for you.
But Dad, you're not always here.
Sunshine through today with seasonal temperatures. We should reach our normal high of about 82 degrees by this afternoon. Clear skies tonight with a low near 70.
So welcome, my name is April Stevens, Gas Account Manager for Commercial Gas Services at Dominion Energy Ohio. It is my privilege to welcome you to Dominion Energy Ohio's corporate headquarters. Every day, our operation safely delivers natural gas to 1.2 million customers in Ohio. And being able to operate our business in the same community where our employees live and work makes us want to make strong community partnerships with organizations like the Women of Color Foundation. Alex Boone and her foundation are committed to empowering women and girls and preparing them for leadership success. We have partnered with her for over 10 years on addressing important community issues such as today's timely topic of keeping women and girls safe. I'd like to take a minute to highlight a couple of additional diversity and inclusion efforts that we promote at our company, including our Employee Resource Group and our Ohio Diversity Council. Our employee resource groups enable people with shared interests and backgrounds to work together to create community, provide networking opportunities, and encourage professional growth. I myself am a part of the African American Resource Group, as well as the Women Employees Resource Group, and our newest employee resource group titled Diverse Ability Employee Resource Group. The Ohio Diversity Council integrates diversity goals and practices into our core business by embedding diversity into our core corporate culture and actively training our employees on best practices in diversity. Investing in nonprofit organizations that promote diversity and inclusion efforts, empowering our colleagues to bring their identity and best ideas to work every single day, while treating our customers with respect and dignity are all integral components of why our company has thrived for over 100 years. 2 housekeeping items. The restrooms are out of this room to the left, and in the event that we need to vacate the room for any reason, just go out of the back doors at the back of the room, exit left, and go down the stairs. We are truly proud to welcome you today, and I will now turn the program back to Alex Boone.
Thank you so much, April. Danita, did you hear that voice, girl? You may have to watch out. April has got quite the media voice. So I had said I wasn't going to say much because this is my first time out in quite a while. But I have to acknowledge some people in the room. Cassandra Bledsoe, would you mind standing up for me? So I want to tell you how we came to be here today. I called Cassandra, I was at home, and I called her and I told her I wanted to do a workshop about keeping women and girls safe in Cleveland. And I said I would love to have some important people from the city. Never dreamed that we would get the chief. And you know what Cassandra said. She said, "Oh, Alex, I got that, don't worry." And here we are. And I'm making light of it, but I don't really mean to, because Cassandra made this happen for us today. And I didn't call her because, you know, she works for the chief. I called her because I had been to one of her symposiums, and it was amazing. She had all these men and women in a room, and they were all there all day. They didn't leave. Well, maybe they were scared because the chief was there, but I don't think so. I think they were scared because Cassandra was there. So I just want to thank you, honey. I just need to thank you for helping me do this. You know, they say in times of prosperity, your friends know who you are. But in times of adversity, you know who your friends are. And Cassandra, you're on the right side of the track, honey. Thank you. I appreciate it. And then where is Tracy Oliver? She's gonna be mad at me because she had to get over it. Hey, Tracy. Tracy Oliver is the director of media for Ohio for Dominion Energy. But to me, she has a different title, and it's called Ride or Die Chick. Because Tracy Oliver has been partners with our foundation since the beginning. I mean, she started out as a sponsor, and then she started hosting this event 10 years ago. But the foundation we're in starting our 18th year, and she's the only sponsor that I've had for 18 years. So thank you, Tracy. And thank you so much for your friendship and your support, because it's hard for me to be here today and not be running around and being in charge, because y'all know how I do. But I just want to thank everybody for being here. It's really nice when you think about you have to cut back on some of your activities, and that you have people who are in the room and in your crew who are going to make sure that the work that you're doing still gets done. And so I'm just thanking you guys so much. So I don't want to be weepy, but so Danita Harris, my darling daughter, mentee, confidant, hero, and all those things rolled into one. And then she has to be beautiful too. But I used to look like that. I was only 12 years old, but I looked like that. So, Danita, would you mind coming to the podium and introducing Chief Calvin Williams? And Chief, as I said to you when you came in, thank you so much for being here and taking the time to deal with this subject head on and to help us keep our families and ourselves and our children safe. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon to all of you. We can do better than that. You're here, you're above ground, you're living, you're breathing. All right, so good afternoon. All right, I come here every year. Alex has me on lock. How many of you have people in your life, they just have you on lock? And the reason why she has me on lock is because I love her so much. So let's give Alex a round of applause, because we are all here because we love her. And actually, we really love the work that she has been doing in our community, bringing people together for events like this. Today, I have the honor and the privilege to have a conversation with a man that I have to tell you, I am a journalist, so I'm going to stick to the facts. His name is Calvin D. Williams, and I don't know what the D stands for in his birth certificate, but to me, the D stands for dedication. He's dedicated. The D stands for he is devoted. I interview a lot of people. I see a lot of things that happen in this city, but one thing that oozes from Chief Williams is how much he cares about our community, how much he cares about the people of the city. His integrity is second to none. We all should feel better because we have a man of his character in that position. I will tell you recently, since we're talking about violence, the killings that happened in Slavic Village, and the 2 young children, and the woman and the male who were shot and killed. What stood out to me about Chief Williams, and what he always does, he is consistent. Those 2 children were members of the Boys and Girls Club. And Chief Williams, when those Boys and Girls came out, the Boys and Girls Club came out to just, respect their friends who had died. If you could listen to the way he spoke to them as if they were his children. And he ensured them that I'm going to do everything that I can so that this doesn't happen to another one of your friends. I'm going to do everything that I can to make sure that you feel safe. So it's my honor today, and I want you to be really loud because he deserves that and more, as if you're at, the Browns game and we just got into the Super Bowl. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, the Honorable Chief Calvin D. Williams. Okay, now he has to be out of here by 12:30, so I'm gonna run this like 6 o'clock news. We gotta get out. You keep on talking, but the commercial's gonna run and he's got to go. All right, so we're gonna get into a conversation, but I do wanna leave like the last 10 minutes for you to ask some questions because this is an opportunity that people never get. You can ask the police chief a question, okay? And you're gonna get an honest answer. So Chief, let's just dig right into it. Where are we as a city right now when it comes to just violence in general, what's happening right now?
Well, first off, I want to start by thanking Mrs. Boone and the Women of Color Foundation for this invite today. To be in a room with a lot of beautiful women is always a treat. So thanks for having me, guys. And I want to thank Cassandra again, our community liaison for the Division of Police. She always does an excellent job of bringing us out into the community. And then I want to acknowledge in the back, you'll see a row of beautiful police female officers. You guys stand up. Sarge, stand up, Sarge. Stand up. Our police officers, stand up. We have 4 Cleveland police officers and 1 RTA police officer, and they do a great job in ensuring that we protect and serve our citizens here. So thanks for coming, guys. So how are we doing? I think the city overall is doing pretty well. Just like with any major urban area, we have our challenges. There are things that unfortunately happen, as you alluded to a little earlier, and we have to, in spite of that, as a city, continue to thrive, continue to come together, and to try to make sure that, as we talked to those young folks from the Boys and Girls Club last week, that we do everything possible to make sure these things don't happen again. So as a city, I think we're doing pretty well. If you look at our crime rate, it's actually dropped. Not substantially, but it's actually dropped compared to last year and the year before. Although, one incident that happens to you doesn't matter if our crime rate is up or down. It's a terrible incident that happens to you. Our goal is always 0 crime. And that's a high goal, and we know it's probably almost an impossible goal, but we strive to do that every day.
When it comes to women and the violence that we see against women happening in our city or just in our country in general, what are some of the factors that you would say contribute to the violence, the domestic violence that occurs against women? Or what are some things that you think contribute to that issue that we're talking about today?
Well, I think part of what contributes to, especially when you're talking about domestic violence, I think is the apathy of our community as a whole. I think it's that's not my problem, that's her problem, that's that family's issue, I don't have anything to do with that. The mayor is always quoted as saying, we'll be judged by what we do for the least of us. Not what we do downtown and at Progressive Field and places like that in Terminal Tower, but what we do in our neighborhoods and our family situations for the least of us, the people that need the help. So, for us, it's information. There are a ton of agencies out there, as you're aware of, that deal with family issues on a day-to-day basis that people can go to for help. We are always advocating people, if you think something's going wrong, whether it's in your family or a family that you know, reach out and tell somebody. Because that one phone call that you make may be the phone call that saves that life, that saves that family, that puts them on the right track to be a productive part of our society.
I know in doing the news, one thing we say a lot, and your department, a lot of police departments, we say in our stories, if you know something, if you've seen something, call police. Is there still a fear out there of telling what people know?
I think there is to a certain extent, but I think we're starting to kind of climb out of that a little bit. When heinous things happen in the city, we get a ton of phone calls now, whereas 4 or 5 years ago, we may have gotten half that volume. But the more groups like this, oh, I broke it. I'm sorry. The more groups like this, the more that people advocate for our city to come together and to help each other, the more that word gets out there, then the more people are apt to make those phone calls, whether it be for a crime that happens or, like I said earlier, for a family that needs help. And this city is kind of overrun with services to assist people. You know, the mayor has set up our recreation centers as resource centers. He set up those centers to be centers that take care of our kids that are on a daily basis exposed to what's called toxic stress. Seeing shootings, seeing domestic violence in their homes, you know, not having enough to eat, just seeing, you know, bad things on a day-to-day basis, and that wears on you. You know, just like police officers, it wears on us. So we have an employee assistance unit that helps our officers through traumatic events. We have after actions, and we have sit-downs with officers. The officers that were on that scene on 63rd, that very next day, we had all those officers in a room, all those dispatchers that had to dispatch those calls, and we were talking through what had happened and making sure that they had the support and the help they need. We have to do that in our community. Those services are out there. We just have to take advantage of them.
What do you think needs to happen? And I'm just going to, a lot of times we see things happen. Okay, the police weren't there, the police don't do it. But what is the ownership on all of us in this room, one as women, to instill things in our young daughters or our young nieces, and what conversations need to take place in the home, since we're talking about women and girls, seeds that need to be planted now to help? Well,
Danita, I think we have to go back to, and I'm going to date myself, when I was a kid, 50 some odd years ago, I think we have to go back to the things that we were told by, our fathers, our uncles, our grandparents, our moms at home, to don't do certain things. Today, there are so many negative pulls on our kids through the internet, through just interactions with their peers, through things that happen at school, things that happen on the streets. And there's so much negativity that is right at their fingertips. Everybody has, that cell phone, that mini computer in their pocket. A lot of you ladies have them out now taking pictures. So, our kids, my 16, tomorrow to be 17-year-old niece has an iPhone that can do everything. And, and there's so much on there that's negative. And in order for us not to let that kind of invade our kids, we have to have conversations with them. We have to tell them, no, that's not right. No, you're not going to look at that. Yes, I am going to be a nosy parent. No, you don't have privacy in your room because you're in my house. And I think for a long time we've been afraid to. We were in this kind of era of, our kids have rights, they have, space, this is their personal space, and you got to treat them like adults. We can't always treat them like kids, but they are kids. And if we don't treat them that way and protect them, we're not doing our jobs as parents and adults. So no, you don't have privacy in my house. I'm sorry. When you graduate from college and when you get your own, and you have that privacy, but as long as I'm paying the bills and putting clothes on your back and food in your mouth, then there's a certain expectation I have for you, and I may violate your space from time to time just to make sure things are what they should be. And all parents, all adults need to have that attitude that, no, it's not a bad thing. And trust me, they'll get over it. Like we got over it. They'll get over it.
That old school wisdom still works. Old school wisdom still works. Let's dig into the role of, what you alluded to in what you were saying, the role of social media now and how it relates to violence against women.
I think that, and I think Facebook, and I hate to mention names like that, but I think a lot of our social media platforms are starting to see that they have to regulate content a lot more. You know, probably for the last 10 or 15 years, it's been like a free-for-all. Anything and everything can be out there on the internet, on a platform. And I think a lot of these companies are being called to task, and no, you shouldn't let that be on your site. You should have people that monitor that take it down before it's actually posted. And, you know, I think it's, again, our responsibility as parents and adults to monitor what our kids are looking at. And if we see something like that, it's our responsibility to let the whole world know, look, this site is allowing this on their site without any controls whatsoever, and we demand that you put controls on it so that a 12-year-old can't see it, period. Or so that we as a society can't see it, because, you know, a lot of this stuff really has no place in our society. You know, we've gotten to a place where our tone is always negative. Our tone is always me. Whatever I want to do, I should have the freedom to do it, but not if that freedom infringes on my right to kind of be free from your craziness. You know, so I was driving the other day and I saw a sign in the back of a guy's truck, and I hope I can remember this because it was kind of reverse. It was like, you know, your freedom can infringe on, no, your feelings can infringe on my freedom. And I think it should be the reverse. My freedom of what I can do out there shouldn't infringe on the things that you care about, shouldn't infringe upon the things that you feel are, oh no, don't do that. Just because I have the freedom to do it, I shouldn't infringe upon you. So that's kind of what our society's gotten to. Everything goes, and it shouldn't be that way.
What is the biggest challenge for you as a police chief? You know, and now I'm just want to get a little more intimate with you as the chief and the things you go through, because I think sometimes we see people in your position, and sometimes you can be viewed as, you know, just the position, but not the your humanity. So tell us, when you're dealing with things, you have to go to scenes of the crime, and you see these violent acts committed against women, against young girls, things that you witnessed. How do you handle that? What's your challenge in dealing with the violence?
You know, my biggest challenge, and it has been, is probably as for most police officers, is dealing with young people, our young kids, in violence. It shouldn't have to be this way in any city. When I was growing up, yeah, things happened, but not to the level that they're happening now with that certain segment of the population. And, you know, my challenge as chief is, you know, how do we grab our young folks and let them know there's a different way to do things, that it doesn't have to always be violent. It doesn't have to involve a gun or a fight, or that fight back and forth on social media that elevates to a gun or a fist fight. And how do we actually kind of turn that ship in a different direction so that they can see all the opportunities they have. You know, I live in Huff, and we're within a mile and a half of some of the greatest religious institutions, cultural institutions with our museums, the Cleveland Clinic, UH Hospital, all of the Case Western Reserve University, Cleveland State University. Some of the greatest cultural things are right here in our city, and all of our kids don't realize it and don't take advantage of it. You know, I mean, kids in Huff can walk to University Circle and go to the museum and see stuff from around the world, from throughout history. And we don't take advantage of that. Or they can walk over to Cleveland Clinic and see the building every week that's going up that, you know, has a dental school and a medical school and all kinds of technology. I mean, and take advantage of that, you know, because it's right in your backyard. So how do we turn kids from my beef on social media and that's all I see in my, you know, 5 square blocks of my neighborhood to the rest of the city, and the rest of the world is open to you. All you have to do is go out there and grab it and take advantage of it.
What is the relevance of having female police officers? We're going to hear from you. I know. Just listen right now. I did this for you. Okay. What is the relevance of having female police officers on any police force, and what do they bring to those cases that it's a violent act against a woman? How does that make a difference?
Our treasure within any police division are the female officers in that division. I just have to say that. And not because these guys are sitting here, but because they do a phenomenal job. The relevance of a female officer on the scene of a crisis event with another, a female victim or that family, is that they always bring that sense of calmness. And then that spreads throughout that scene. It's always said, and I've had a lot of female partners during my career. Actually, my wife was a Cleveland police officer, and that's how we actually met on the job. But
that's gonna be another Woman of Color event. Okay, invite me back.
But you can always see the difference on a critical incident when our female officers are there versus all of us being there. It does bring a level of calmness. It does bring a level of respect for women, period. You'll have suspects that are totally out of control, and our guys are out there trying to get, and female officers come out, wait, come on, you don't want to do that, brother. You don't want to do that, man. Come on, sir, come on. And it kind of brings it down to a level that we can now start to deal with it. And, I always say, if we can get more female officers on the job, we'll be a lot better off. And we're attempting to do that. So we are recruiting for the Cleveland Division of Police. If you call our recruitment unit, we have social media hashtags on Instagram, on Facebook. We are recruiting. We have a class that goes in September and August. We have a class that graduates in September, another class that starts in December, on through next year. So if you know between the ages of 21 and 39 that want to be police officers, tell them to give us a call.
Before we take your questions, this is the last question I have for you. What would you like for us to do in this plea that I know that you have for this partnership between the community and the police department in stopping the violence in our communities? What is it what needs to be stepped up on the community side?
Well, two things. One is I think our community needs to get back to those old days when we self-policed our community, when the people on the street kind of took care of that street. And if the police showed up, things were like totally at a different level that the community couldn't handle. I mean, we get calls to a family disturbance that 20 years ago would have been handled. The police would have never even knew there was a family disturbance on that street. So we need to self-police in our communities. The second thing is we need to be more in line with your original question about, people giving information. It's not snitching. If you are telling something that's going to help your community, like we used to say, I'm telling. I'm not snitching. Snitching is, if you and I commit a crime together, and then now to get me out of it or less time, I'm going to tell on you. That's snitching. Right. But if I'm sitting on my porch and I see you breaking into Mrs. Johnson's house, I'm telling. Because next week you're going to be breaking into my house. So we need to know the difference between those two. We need to make sure that our community gets that information out, whether it's to the police, whether it's to a group that can help them, whether it's to a social service agency because that family needs some contact. And we need to do more of that self-policing in our communities. We need to know our neighbors again. We need to be able to go knock on the door and say, hey, your kids are getting to the point where something's going to happen. We need to see if we can find something better for them to do. And by the way, Thurgood Marshall has a program during the day. You can sign your kids up, and they'll babysit them all day, and they'll get something out of it. They'll go swimming, they'll go horseback riding, all kinds of stuff. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, problem solved. So we need to get back to those types of things.
All right, thank you, Chief. Now it's your turn. I know you have questions, so feel free. We'd like for you to speak clearly or stand up and give the Chief your name and give your comment or question. And we're going to start right here.
Yes.
My name is Dolores McCollum, and I live in Ward 1 in Cleveland. My question is more general for the police community than specifically Cleveland Police. I've seen a lot of videos where police are arresting somebody in some kind of conflict, and they're just cussing everybody out. And I feel the tension of trying to be supportive of police officers, understand what they're going. I know I don't understand what they're going through, but I have an idea. And it seems like a level of professionalism and respect has just gone out the door, like, you know, like kind of, like you said, anything goes. It's the Wild Wild West. And while I cannot say I've heard any Cleveland police, I'm speaking of broadly, the police community seems just to have lost it. So how can we be supportive of those good police when we see police act in ways that are completely unprofessional and very disrespectful?
Okay, great question, great comments. You said two very important words that I expressed to every Cleveland police officer: professional, respectful service. Be professional and be respectful. That's the only two things I require of Cleveland police officers. And we discipline officers for foul language during an incident. I can't speak for other jurisdictions, but we do, because we expect you to be professional and respectful at all times, no matter what the situation is. And we expect that, let me put it this way. Police officers are supposed to be the professionals. We have training, we have education, we have ongoing training every year to make sure we're up on policies and best practices and procedures and things like that. So we're the professionals. You don't usually call the police when you're having a family barbecue and you want them to come over and get a couple bones, right? You call the police when Uncle Johnny and Aunt Sue and somebody else is tearing up the place. So we try to train our officers. That's the mindset you have to have when you're going to that call. Everybody's not going to be calm. Everybody's not going to be, oh, hey, come over, officer, sit down, here, have a plate. That's not why they called us. So we can't come in at this level all upset. That's why we're there. We're there to make sure everybody gets calmed down, the situation gets taken under control, and people are safe. So we drill over and over into our officers, you have to come in calm, because the folks aren't going to be calm. That's why they're calling us, the professionals. So all that cursing and you're going to take everybody to jail, we don't do that. That's not necessary. That's not why you're here. So again, things that happen around the country, we use them as teaching moments, and we try to show our officers, don't be that guy, don't be that officer, because we don't accept that here in the city of Cleveland. And the way you can help us, if you see an officer that's doing a great job, go up and say, hey, officer, thank you. Thanks for your service. I saw the way you talked to that family, that gentleman, that kid on the street. That's perfect. That's what we expect from you. Thank you for being a dedicated public servant.
Thank you. All right, right here, stand up.
Hi, I'm Marcia Daniels. Hi, Chief.
Hi.
Question for you.
Hi.
In the spots that you know that is high crime areas, have you guys beefed up your security there? Like, have you guys patrolled more in the high crime areas where crime is happening more than normal?
Yes, each district, there are 5 police districts here in the city of Cleveland. Each district has certain resources, and when that district gets to a point where they're having, things spike up, they request assistance from specialized units downtown, whether it be our gang guys, our nice guys, our traffic guys, if it's a traffic issue. But yes, we do beef up patrols in certain areas. I was late because every other Thursday we have what's called our command staff meeting, where all the commanders throughout the division of police come down to my office. We look at our stats. We look at issues that are happening. We go around the table, talk about the commanders' issues. We do that every other week. And then sometimes we do it on a weekly basis if we need to. But all the district commanders, all the commanders within the division of police have all that data available. We're stat driven. We look at arrests, we look at incidents, we look at calls for service, we look at tickets, we look at all that stuff, and then we deploy based on that stuff. So we do make adjustments. Say, for example, well, I won't pick out a certain place of the city, but if there's a place where we're having a lot of shootings or a lot of robberies, then we will adjust and put more personnel over there to take care of that. Yes.
Yellow.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shirley Davis, and I have 2 quick questions. The first one is, do you have any programs in the city of Cleveland geared to our young girls that are growing up to be young women that would help them because they've just seen such negative and toxic behaviors and maybe some members in their family that they haven't got to the point of being arrested or incarcerated or, actually been penalized for that negative behavior, to teach them that they may not be that lucky if they continue to mirror them. And also, can you tell us a little bit about your Ride Along program?
Okay, I'll answer the Ride Along first because that's an easy one. There's a form that you fill out. It's our Ride Along release form. Unfortunately, if you're not attached to an agency or organization, because there's a requirement that you have $1 million insurance rider. So, like our news folks, the station will be able to provide that rider to the city. So if something happens, then that policy covers you, or anything that happens, and the city's not responsible for that. So you can just fill out that form, and if you can provide that rider, then you can ride along in any district of the city. Your first question, I don't think we have programs specific to young ladies, but we have programs specific to our young folks. We have some officers back here from community policing. We have our Police Explorers program that takes young men and young ladies, and we try to keep them kind of close to the vest and kind of grow them up, that hopefully one day they'll become police officers. And we've had several of our explorers become Cleveland police officers. We also have what's called a pipeline program through our Cleveland Police Foundation. And that takes kids through the summer and basically all year round and does almost the same thing. They do college tours. Right now, I think they're doing a tour with EMS and fire. They're doing first aid training. They're doing resume building. They're actually building, and I can't think of the term that Mrs. Bennett from our Police Foundation used, but they're building a proper online profile that they can send out to employers and schools. It's almost like an online resume that these kids are building over the summer, that if they're about to go to college, they can just email that to the college admissions office. Or if they're looking for a job, they can email that to an employer in addition to supplying a resume. So it kind of spells out the things they're interested in, the things they've been doing, their hobbies, their likes. It's almost like an electronic resume. So those kids in that summer pipeline program are doing things like that. But Cassandra and I, our ladies from community policing back there, Sergeant Schatz, our PIO, we'll have to talk about some female-specific for our young folks program going forward.
All right, last question, last in the back in the white.
Good afternoon. My name is David. I have a question. You talked moments ago about policing your own neighborhoods. And when I was younger, those things worked. But now I'm wondering how do you push that message, because in our current climate, our witnesses become victims.
Yeah, and you're right. Her question was about policing our neighborhoods and how do we do that in the current state of things with people not really wanting to be involved, and then with retaliation and things like that. That's a tough question, and my answer is we have to keep trying. We have to keep pushing the message to, we have a lot of good folks in our neighborhood, so we can't let those few that kind of take up all the air run everything. We have to encourage our folks that have been there, that are in our block clubs and our street clubs and our district policing committees. We have to encourage them to bring more like-minded folks that can take over that block and tamp down all that noise from people that really aren't doing positive things in our neighborhoods. And, it's not an easy task. It's not something that, everybody can do, but I think that we can do it. We've done it before. We've done it forever. So why now? Why do we let this time period in our lives kind of control everything in a negative way when we have a room full of positive people right here that are doing things in their community, that are out there trying to make a difference. Excuse me. So I'm sure we could probably triple the size of this room with people just in one neighborhood that want to do that. We just have to reach those folks, provide a platform for them, hold on to them, and then start growing that up. My thing is, I'm not going to give up. I don't expect our residents, our community folks to give up on trying to make Cleveland, Northeast Ohio better.
All right, and I want to thank you for watching this episode of Conversations with the Chief. I've been your host, Anita Harris, and we thank Chief Williams for being with us. Tune in next time when the Chief will come back and tell us how he met the love of his life on a ride-along he'll never forget. Thank you all for being here today. We hope you have a wonderful, wonderful evening.
It's a big responsibility.
Oh, it's huge. I know, it's huge.
And the salary.
Oh my god, yes.
Right?
I mean, like, I was about to move in with my parents, and right before, so this saved me.
I really believe in you, you know?
Thank you. It's nice to hear that from someone.
These are cool. Did you, what did you...
Slow down.
Slow down and move over.
And move over. When you see lights, vests,
or reflectors,
please give us some room. Slow down and move over. When you need us,
we've got your back.
Do you have ours?
You got our back?
You got ours? You got our back? Please, slow down.
And move over.
The first part was good. The second part is going to be better. So I have the distinct pleasure of introducing someone that I have very high regard and respect for, and that's Ms. Cassandra Bledsoe. And Cassandra is the community liaison for the city of Cleveland, and she's right in the chief's office. So I just want to thank her again for getting the chief here and all these other officers that look like me. And they're going to talk to us about how we can be safe. Cassandra's going to share some information that I think will be intriguing for us all to hear. But I just want to thank you ladies so much for being here. Cassandra, this turned out to be way beyond my expectations, so thank you so much. I was just hoping to have a workshop about being safe. And we end up with the chief, and then the chief's liaison, and then the commanders, and everything. So, ladies, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to ask Cassandra to introduce each of you. And if you could just tell us a little bit about your background so we can understand how you came to be in these high positions. And I'm sorry, I just get really excited when I see my people doing great things. And I don't just mean by color, I mean women too, okay? It's not about color, it's about women. So thank you ladies so much for being here. Cassandra?
All right, as she said, my name is Cassandra Bledsoe. I am the community liaison for the police chief for the City of Cleveland Division of Police. I'm going to tell my story because this is the very first time I've told it public. And then I will move on to the beautiful women next to me and allow them to introduce themselves to you and tell you a little bit about what they do. To Alex Boone, only for you.
Oh.
Much love. It's been 5 years, and I have not spoken about it publicly.
Oh, wow.
I first want to read you something from the Secret Service, the United States Secret Service. Fixations. 2/5 of attackers exhibit a fixation defined as an intense or obsessive preoccupation with a person, activity, or belief to the point that it negatively impacts aspects of their lives. The focuses on this fixation include an ex-girlfriend, wife, or other females in the subject's lives. Perceived injustices, delusions, or ideologies and video games are all part of this fixation. The behaviors that demonstrate these fixations include, but were not limited to, posting written material or videos online, stalking, or harassing others, and filing lawsuits or complaints against the police. April 2014, I was the administrator of the Office of Professional Standards. And for those of you who do not know what the Office of Professional Standards is, it is the office that investigates citizens' complaints against the police. So I was the administrator, meaning I was head of that department, and in April 2014, my office received a call, and the man on the other end of the phone said, "Your boss, I am going to shoot her in the head, and I am a man of my word." I have been with the City of Cleveland now for 20 years, and have always in my career worked along with the police department, and up until then, for the past 8 years, worked in the Division of Public Safety as the Administrative Officer of Professional Standards. And immediately, as anything happens, the police were called, my staff was nervous, and a police report was filled out. I was also told to go fill out all the paperwork to get a restraining order. That was done against the person. The day that he went to court, municipal court, where the judge told him that he could not come in contact with me, he left the court and immediately came over to my office building looking for me. By the time our police department got there, our intelligence unit got across the street, he had disappeared, but we had him on camera. I was also told by our intelligence unit that he was very serious. This was just not a routine call to the office or someone saying something and did not mean it. Instantly, I left work and I went home and I called my mother. And this is where it all began. And I don't know if your mothers are like my mother, but I told my mother what was going on, and my mother was absolutely silent. And if any of you had your mother speak without saying a word, you know what that means. Yep. And next time I talked to my mother, I informed my mother I was no longer in that job. My family, in the very beginning, was extremely concerned about my safety, and it was my family who removed me to an undisclosed location. They did not play, they did not hesitate. Also, I have to be real with you, I do have family, and everyone in my family is not saved or Christian. So not only for my safety, but the safety of my family members, it was best for everyone involved, especially those who called and said, "Cousin, what must we do? We on our way." So my family moved me immediately somewhere different. As you heard the chief of police say, that I am an employee of the City of Cleveland. I've been with the City of Cleveland for 20 years, so all of our employee assistance kicked in, all of the things that we do to protect our employees, all of those things took place. But I will say to you, the suspect or the person, he was on a mission. By time, as they say, he had contacted the media. He had a lot of people on his team. He had advocates working with him, and he had people believing that he was the victim. That he had filed a complaint against our police department that our officers had done something terrible to him. And based upon the climate in the community in 2014, there were quite a few people on his team and quite a few people angry with me in the community. He had also gone, I am a minister, he had also gone to the Minister's Council and had talked to some of the clergy, and some of the clergy believed that our police officers had done him some harm. And I had ordered our police department to, retaliate against him. And I want to say to those of you, before I move any further, that if an incident happens, whether it's male or female, find out the facts. Because what happened to me was exactly what you hear, re-victimizing the victim. not so much by him, but he had gained enough support. I had media at my door. Anywhere that I went in the community, when I got back to work, I went out in the community, there were other females that were on his side. How did I know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, beyond what he had said, beyond what our police officers had investigated to find out truth? It was the angel of the Lord. One morning, when I was thinking about getting ready to go to work, the angel of the Lord came, and I don't know how many of you have had an encounter with an angel from the Lord, but it was an extreme, heavy presence that spoke to me and said, do not go downtown. He is serious. He wants to kill you. That's what shook me. That's what put me into shock. And then I just became, Alex, unable to even function. Because I had understood it, but I didn't understand what it was really like to sit somewhere and be around somebody who absolutely, when the Lord said, he wants to kill you. I didn't come back to work for a while, and when I returned back to work, and this we talked about just with your safety at work, by law, my employer was required to have a safety plan. How would I come into work? How would I leave work? How would I get to work safely? In and out of my car, in and out of the garage. And they did that. I had already worked for the city of Cleveland in the Department of Public Safety, and so they were able to just implement those safety plans by law of any employer that's required to make sure that an employee is safe upon returning to work. Everywhere that I went, not only did I carry my paperwork with me, but at church, my family, every move that I make, I had my paperwork, and there are some of my church members who are here. Yes, it's set in my Bible cover, still sits in my Bible cover as I sit in the pulpit every Sunday. So thank you so much for my members of my congregation who are here. That restraining order is up, that protection order is up. One of the things that I learned in returning to work is that I was taken and put into a position, and most people did not know in the city of Cleveland what happened to me. They just said, you were there, then you disappeared, we didn't know where you are. So here I am publicly saying, this is where I am. You guys understand? I was also required to go to RAD training, rape, aggression, defense training, where I learned that should anyone come, touch me, or come near me, what to do, how to stand, and how to physically defend myself. And now I'm going to turn it over to the beautiful woman who was my trainer, who taught me how to defend myself and not to be so nice. She was like, girl, just awesome. And I was like, I don't know if I can do it. She said, he ain't going to be nice to you. He ain't going to be nice to you. So it's a different kind of mindset. It's a totally different kind of mindset. So ladies and gentlemen, I introduce the beautiful, beautiful Sharon Davis.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
My name is Officer Sharon Davis, and I've been with the department August 19th. I'll have an anniversary. That'll be 23 years as a police officer.
All right.
But I have prior city time. I have 7 years prior. I worked for the water department. So I've been serving the citizens of Cleveland for a long time. Okay? I started at it used to be the 5th District, now it's the 3rd. But that's where I started. From there, I went to Commander's office. I went downtown to the Justice Center with the Deputy Chief. Been on the Mayor's detail. I'm a part-time instructor in our police academy. I teach CPR. But my favorite thing is teaching RAD, Rape, Aggression, Defense Training. They say I like to fight. That's not true. That's not true. I like for women to know that they can defend themselves. When the retired commander asked me to take the course, I said, no, I'm too old, I'm tired, I don't want to do this. He said, I'm ordering you to do it. That was the best thing that ever happened. You know, if I just help one woman, one person, to to defend themselves. And this course was started in 1989 by a gentleman named Larry Nadeau. He was a campus police and asked him to do something for the freshmen. So now that is taught all over most colleges, this program. He came up with something because he was into martial arts. So they use a little martial arts, but a lot of common sense. You know, and you don't have to have a weapon to be able to defend yourself. But there are ways. And Cassandra, I had to work with her because, like a lot of women, you don't want to punch. And you'd be surprised, most people don't know how to punch. Because when you're trying to defend yourself, you don't want to break your fingers, your hands, so you have to learn how to do it. And it's all about practice, 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 and being aware of your surroundings. If you're not aware of your surroundings, anybody can get you. Yeah. You know, they look for weaknesses. You know. So with that, I'm going to let the next officer speak.
When's the next class?
Okay, with RAD, it's not, you have to call me. I try to set it up in between my other jobs. But if you all wanted to do something, you can talk to Cassandra and we'll try to set something up, okay? And it's a really, really good program. And yes, we all have fear. Don't let nobody tell you, I don't care how much you've been trained, that fear, but that fear can help you to make it. And we teach you, it's not to beat anybody down, it's to get away. But if you cannot get away, then there's some things we can teach you to do.
Hi, ladies. First, I want to thank everyone. Thank you for the invite here. Yes, thank you for the invite today. This will be my first time here at the foundation. My name is Officer Jovan Larkin. I have been with the city close to 12 years, primarily at the 4th District on basic patrol, and that's on 93rd and Kinsman. I am now in the Community Relations Unit with Officer Sharon and also my partner, Officer Graham. I am a single mother of a 14-year-old boy. My reasoning for initially applying to become a police officer, I never had any family members on the job, never really had an interest until, I don't know, just riding down St. Clair Avenue. There was a big billboard showing that they were hiring for police officers. I said, why not? I wanted to, at the time my son was 2, and I said, I need to show him. I want him to be proud of me. So this is possibly my opportunity to do that. And once I went through the academy and started to actually work the streets, that's where that passion came for the citizens. I actually wanted to help the victims that I came across and these babies that were hurt and crying, just asking for mommy. I was there. At that moment, I was their mommy, and I just felt so much pride in myself just to be there for them. Excuse me. Sorry, I got a weakness for babies. I am going to share just a few tips with you on how you can keep yourself safe leaving home and also in your vehicle. And these are some tips that I follow myself. Like I said, I'm a single mother. I have this big house, and it's just me and him and my firearm. But sometimes you can't get to it. You got to do what you got to do. But when I'm leaving home, I like to always, and it may seem extra to some people, but I never just walk out of my door. I have a light that's triggered by motion detector. I always make sure my light is working. I open my door. I always, like I'm crossing the street, but I'm not. I'm just looking out of my door just to make sure nobody's hiding to the side, nothing like that. Got my key fob ready. If you don't have a key fob, have your key ready. If you don't need it, make sure your hand is ready to push that button to open the door. You know, you don't want to be at your car fumbling around trying to get in the car. Get out that door, shut the door, immediately get into the car. If you have bags, get the bag situated after you get in the car. Get in the car, immediately lock your doors, and then you can get yourself situated, turn the radio on, whatever you got to do. Because that's giving whoever is watching you an opportunity to possibly attack you because you're not paying attention, right? In parking garages when you're leaving at night, always try to leave with somebody at the same time. Again, have your keys ready in your hand, bags ready to go in that car. You don't want to give anyone an opportunity to catch you, not paying attention. Always be aware of your surroundings at any time. If something doesn't feel right, follow that instinct, go back in. I do it. Some people are like, what are you doing? I'm like, nope, I'm gonna come back. I don't know what it was, but something said, don't go right now, go back. And I followed it. So those are my tips for you guys. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Hello. I'm Officer Ashley Graham. I've been with the department for 5 years now. I too work in community relations with these two ladies. I became a police officer because that's something that I always wanted to do. I was always interested in it. It fascinated me, and that's what I did. I'm one of 10 siblings, and 6 of us are females. So I just have always that protective instinct. When the stuff I learn on the job, I share with them, safety tips. I'm not the oldest, but I'm kind of like the oldest, I guess, because I feel like the mama of the group. Some safety tips that I could share. I'm younger. I've only been on the job for 5 years, so I'm more relatable to the teenage people I come across because I too use social media. When you're walking down the street, don't be all on your phone. Pay attention to your surroundings, like she said. When you're on social media, don't post where you're at. If you're at an event, post it after you leave that I was here. Because if you're there for hours, somebody can pop up on you, do something to you because they know exactly where you are.
Or your house.
Or your house, yep. Like she said, I do have a house, and I have one of those like Ring doorbell cameras. So that helps a lot. If there's motion around my house, I know it because I'm alone. Yeah, just being aware of your surroundings is the major key. So you can at least have a jump on if somebody's trying to harm you. You can prepare yourself and use any tips you learn in self-defense and go from there. Thank you.
All right. Danita, you want to do with the questions?
All right, I'm going to deal with y'all questions right now. So I know you have questions and comments. And first of all, let's give them a round of applause. Transparency and for sharing to encourage someone today. And we are glad you are still with us and God is still keeping his hand in it. Okay, so at this time, if you have a question or comment, wave your hand in the air, wave like you really care. All right, Grace.
Thank you, ladies. My name is Grace Roberts. I'm with 1073 The Wave, Community Affairs Director, Morning Show co-host. Sharon, we need to set up that RAD. Probably maybe even to talk about, I'd like to invite you ladies to come to the show, do something with our Community Affairs show, to talk to our listeners. I'm out in the public all the time. I don't have security, it's just me. We go to events so everybody knows where we are. Can you give some advice to people, public personas, even Danita, you being in the public eye, so I'm gonna be here at this time and this time. And people just walk up, they can come into the station. We don't have security. And that scares me because somebody can come right on in the studio and do what they want. I don't like what you said, Grace. I mean, and that's something we've presented it to management. You know, you have to have something in place between us and people that just come in, because somebody can come in and if there's no one at the front desk, they can come right in and walk through the office, and that's not safe. So speak to us, and speak to, as far as protecting myself. So like I said, I need to take that RAD class because
you need to take the RAD, and your company probably needs to. I'm also a Alice, what they call an Alice instructor, and we come in and we can also do a survey on your office building and tell them what they need to do or certain things. But yes, we can try to set it up. This is what happens. I need, for every 10 students, I need an instructor. Right now, it's 3 of us on the department that teach, that are certified to teach it. 2 of them had left our unit, but now 1 is back. And Cassandra can talk to the chief to get the other one to come back every now and then. And because if it's 30 or more, I need those other instructors.
Right.
If it's 10 or less, then yeah, I can come in and do it myself. Because when I teach you, you're physically doing it.
Right.
And I make sure you're doing it right.
Yeah.
And it's repetitive. And after each class, I'm the one that's really tired, okay? But you will know how to do it. And we give you a book. It has the pictures in there, it explains some things, and at the end of the course, all instructors sign it. So wherever that course is offered at, even if they're charging, if they have room and you show that book, you get in free. So, because it's important to keep practicing. Practice, practice, practice. But after this, I can give you a number, you can call, and we can try to work something out.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Right. Thank you, lady.
Yes, right here. Yep. Oh, hi. So what about the children? Do you guys have self-defense classes for the children? Because there's a lot of things that's happening to our kids, and all I keep hearing about is women, women, women.
Okay, in my class, they have RAD kids. I was an instructor. That's a lot of work. I was the only one. So I let that certification go because the children is more intense than the women.
Yeah.
But in my class, I'll take them 10, 11. They say 13, I'll do 10 or 11, especially if the girls look older than what they are. If they come with a parent, or if that parent comes the first day, sign the papers and bring them every time, I will work with them. You know, but you can go on the RAD website and look and see if there's anybody near who has the RAD Kids certification.
Okay, right. Hi, I'm Carolyn Sanford. I work at Cleveland Clinic, and we do ALICE training. My staff are at the front door at South Point Hospital, so everything and anything can happen, such as when the chalk line situation happened. A lot of those victims came through the front door. People came through the front door. So the ALICE training, mine is more of a comment. If your employer can provide it, or if you can connect with them to do it, please, please, please do it.
So what is ALICE training?
Well, it teaches them how to respond in an emergency situation. And we have everybody from mental health, folks geeked up on drugs, everything that comes through the door. And so our officers have made sure that we are trained. They will train anybody in the clinic, but they definitely train the folks that are sort of in the high profile or high visibility areas. And it just was an eye opener for me. But then again, I also went and got my, concealed carry, and I keep my friend Smith & Wessons with me, so. But what's great, and the RAD is fantastic. The youth need it. We have summer programs with students, and the young ladies talk about the violence that some of them, they say their friends are subjected to. And I don't know, I just think if there's some kind of way we can help be cheerleaders for you guys to incorporate that, where it's in schools or through some kind of program where the young ladies and the kids are getting it on a regular, please say so. I mean, I'll ask Cleveland Clinic to be a cheerleader.
Oh, okay. There are some RAD instructors. I think there's one at Cleveland State, one at Case University, and I think there's one at Cleveland Clinic. RAD, the training for us to train the trainer, it's intense, and that's why a lot of people don't do it. It's intense, but it's worth it. And if I can't do it, I'll try to connect you with someone who could do it. Any of your employers, if you don't have ALICE training, ask them to give it to you. That's important, especially with all these school shootings and things like that. We can't let our people be sitting ducks. It's things you can do. It's distraction techniques and things you can do.
Wow. I just want to say one thing, Danita. Well, Cassandra knows, but she has access. I mean, I will send out anything that she gives me. If there's training, a community meeting, because I have just seen the response here from the chief being here, you guys being here. I mean, people, we're happy to see you. And to get all this good information, you know. You just said, the young lady who said that she was a single mother, and the things you said are just so basic, but I never thought about it. You know, I am a certified forensic files expert. I watch that show 24/7. I can tell you all kinds of things, you know, look under your car, when in doubt, shoot them, all that. In all seriousness, I mean, some of the things you guys have said here today have just really, you know, because there are people that live alone. I mean, April was talking about stop telling people when you're on vacation, and you're not at your house, stop FaceTiming, and stop putting crazy pictures on the internet to make somebody come after you. I mean, just things we just don't think about.
And if you have grandkids, tell the grandkids to stop telling your business and stop taking pictures in your house.
Oh, okay.
That's how people know what's in your house.
Wow. Good point. Good. Wow, great point. See? Yeah.
And just for those of you who may have a situation similar to mine, I do not have social media of any kind. I'm going to take this time. I know we have plenty of other questions, but I want to bring forth our commander. Commander Deidre Jones is in the back room. If you can come forward. Not only is she our commander, but she is also our LGBTQ liaison. And so I want her also to give some safety tips when dealing with the community and the phenomenal work that she does. And I'm going to give up my seat for her so that these women can continually talk.
She could have my chair. I remember her from your event.
Oh, okay.
I'm fine. How are you? Okay.
I came in for the cookies. That's all. All right, well, I'll tell you a little bit about me. My name is Deidre Jones, and I'm the commander in charge of the Bureau of Support Services, which oversees all of our hiring, our personnel, all of our training, our money, and our formally our policy up until recently. I've been with the city now for 33 years, and I have enjoyed just about every day of it. I started out in basic patrol. I never thought I would be in command staff. I just wanted to be the police and work in homicide and get on out of my career. I said I would do 25 years and out, and here I am in year 33. But I started out in basic patrol. I went to Vice, and then I went to our domestic violence unit, where I was a domestic violence unit detective for about 9 years, and I got promoted to sergeant. And from there, I went to our inspections or integrity control section, which is inspections and internal affairs. From there, I went back to the domestic violence unit as a supervisor, as a sergeant. And then I was selected as a sergeant in charge of our homicide unit. I was the first female supervisor in the homicide unit in the history of the division. Wow. One of my passions has always been domestic violence. I teach domestic violence. I'm a certified state instructor. I'm certified federally through the Department of Homeland Security. I can teach anywhere in the country. I train trainers also. And I've also given talks on how women can be safe. And one of the things that I just want to tell everybody, because I harp on this with my sister, I harp on it with my mother, especially for you ladies who go to church, you gotta be careful. You got it. Some of it is common sense, but we all know common sense ain't common. That's number one. Right? You walk out of church, and I was telling somebody this story, and I said I had to repeat it because they thought it was pretty funny, but it's true. You walk out of church, you got the bag in one hand and some big giant bag. We all know it because it's big enough to put your Bible in. Yeah. So you got the bag in one hand, you got your Bible actually in another hand or on the shoulder, not even in your purse. Then you're on your cell phone talking. You got your cute shoes on, and you know good and well you can't wear your cute shoes because your feet hurt and you walk like your feet hurt. And you look like you're baking bread in your shoes. Everybody knows. So you're not paying attention attention to what's going on. That's when things happen, when you're not paying attention. It could be something as simple as, and I tell my mother this, I fuss at her, she gets so tired of me fussing at her, she's 79 years old. Mom, why are you taking your purse into Home Depot? Because she has this big giant, I call it a big old lady purse. She's got this big giant old lady purse full of stuff, and then she's got this wallet with all her stuff. I was like, why are you taking this gigantic purse into Home Depot? And you're only going to buy a light bulb. I know how ladies are. I know how we like to carry our big purses and all that. But what it does is it can create, because people watch you, whether you realize it or not. People are watching you. Some people know what time you leave for work, what time you come home, when you go to church, when you go to Sunday school, when you go to Bible study, when you go to choir rehearsal. They know when you're coming back. And we take it for granted because nothing's ever happened to us, that we kind of get a little lax in how we do things. That is when you can become a victim. I told my sister, she backs into, my sister has a habit of pulling into the garage. And it's a detached garage. And she'll sit in the car at night on the phone, facing the garage wall. She can't see what's going on around her. So she can become a victim easily. And then I tell her about it. She goes, I know what I'm doing. Okay, all right. But what I need you guys to understand, especially nowadays, because of the gang situation is really starting to pick up here. And one of the initiations is carjacking. Who do they believe is the easiest target to carjack? Women and older women. You're riding around with your purse on the seat, with your big church purse, your big old lady purse on the seat. Believe me, and I do not believe anybody is to blame for being a victim. You have to be careful, because when you ask a person, why did you do what you did? Why did you steal her car? Why did you point a gun in her face? They'll tell you, well, she wasn't paying attention. She was an easy target. So it's little things like that that you have to be mindful of in order to stay safe. Some of the things that you took for granted, you can't take for granted anymore. You don't have to be paranoid, like me, because I'm paranoid. You don't have to be paranoid, but you have to be alert. And what I tell people when I get out of my car, I give them my mean mug. You guys know what a mean mug is? Even if you're in the best mood, you get out that car, you better look pissed off. Because people tend to stay away from you when you look like you're ready to pick a fight. It's all about presentation. If I walk around, I'm coming in, I'll go get out of my car, I'm going to Home Depot, I'm walking with a purpose. But I've seen a lot of people, old and young, you have to walk with a purpose, and you have to even give the impression that you're not going to take no stuff from nobody. And that's what I try to tell my mother all the time while she's walking around. Only because she's with me. That's what I like to think. She only does it when she's with me. But I've seen you guys. You go to the grocery store. You put your purse in the cart. Walk away, picking up some cereal, picking up some oatmeal. Or you stand at the counter when they tell you how much it is. Have your money ready already. Don't go, wait a minute. And then pull out a check. How much is it? In the meantime, your purse wide open. And the person that's standing behind you, you don't know. They might be just going. So as soon as you walk out the door with your purse on your shoulder, on the cell phone, and your bag's in the other hand, talking, here comes somebody, run up, take your purse, knock you on the ground. I'm saying this because I want you guys to be careful. I want you guys to be here a long time. And sometimes the best way to do that is just to be mindful that, you have to be aware of your surroundings. So, all right, that's all I'm going to say. So thank you very much. For my cooking.
more questions or comments? Any more questions? Yes, Dolores.
Okay. I'm probably going to embarrass myself, but I had a mouse in my house, and I screamed at the top of my lungs. And when I finally calmed down, I said, what if that was a person? I was totally useless, immobilized, and paralyzed. So, how are you supposed to react when you are confronted with someone who you feel is a danger or a threat to you, particularly if you're in a confined place? Because, like I said, I screamed so hard. And then I said, what if they had been a person? Because, I mean, the little mouse was this big. I don't like mice. I don't either. And I think it was the motion that scared me and the unexpected. But, you know, I kept saying, if that had been a person, you couldn't have done anything for yourself because I was completely paralyzed.
But after you take my class, you will be able to do something for yourself, right?
What did the mouse do?
I don't know about the mouse. But in the class, we teach about the purse, all of that, about nighttime, about getting in your car, locking the door, looking under the car before you actually get to it. You know, especially during Christmas time and when the snow's out there and you're trying to rush. All of that, we do cover that. But start thinking about in your house, just like if you heard something in the house and the lights weren't on, why do you turn on the light? You know your house. Don't turn the light on for if somebody's in there so now they can see everything. You know your house. Start doing that. Walking with your eyes closed so you don't bump into anything. So either you can get out the house or you can get to whatever you may have. Which also, how many in here have their carrying concealed permit? Carrying concealed. You got a gun? Oh, it's a lot of women. All right. Now, with that being said, keep practicing. You have to practice. If something were to happen, you want to be fast with it. You don't want to be fumbling and what did I do with it? And where's the lock? Where's the key for the lock? No, you don't want none of that. You want to be able to load that weapon and be ready for whoever's in the house.
Wow, I kept it in the Ziploc for the first 6 months.
A Ziploc?
Yeah, girl, I got it. Look, my brother made me do the course. And then we went through it, and then I'm like, I'm gonna put it in this Ziploc and keep it in my purse.
Ziploc.
So when he found out that I did that, he popped a cork about that. And then so now I'm ready to go with him to the ranch.
She keeps it fresh.
Right.
Right, keep the lid from getting in. I know, you know.
So I wasn't fumbling for a check, but I had to keep it bag.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right.
Question or comment? Yes.
What about a stun gun, you know, instead of taking the, having a concealed weapon? Which one you say is better?
I'm not gonna. It's whatever you're good with, whatever you have to know how to use it. And like she said, ladies, we have a tendency to have those big purses with everything in it. And when you need to get to it, it's at the bottom where you can't get it. So whatever you carry, it has to be where you can just reach it.
A gun is better than a stun gun.
Yes, but the stun gun, you're going to have to get closer. You have to be close.
And it's a particular area.
Right, and you have to get closer. Some people I know are afraid of guns. So just like tasers, our tasers, police tasers, are much better than what they sell to the public.
Right.
You know, but they do have somewhere the public you can get them. It's a one-time use. If you have to use it, then you go make the police report. That company will usually replace it for you.
If it works.
If it works. But all I'm saying, if you're going to get a gun, please practice. Learn how to clean it. I had one lady, she had M&Ms fall out the gun. M&Ms. Because ladies, we know what's in our purses, right? We throw all kind of things in our purse. But you want to be able to get to it. Some women carry those personal alarms. Don't put it in the purse. Have it on the side where you can hit it, you know? And you just have to think about certain things. Be aware of your surroundings, like they say. Like when I leave the house, Sometimes I turn left, sometimes I turn right. So they don't know if I'm off that day, what I'm doing. Sometimes I go around the block because I'm getting forgetful. I leave my phone, something, and I come back. And that helped one day because I went around the block. The night before, my neighbor, he had a stroke. They went to the hospital. So that morning, I'm going, and I said, dang, my phone. I come back around, and as I'm turning down my street, I see this guy going down their driveway. I hit the gas and went down their driveway, too, because I knew they weren't home. And I said, may I help you? Oh, this is my auntie house. I said, no, it's not. That's not your auntie house. I said, that's my house. I own that house. Like that. And he looked at me, oh, I'm on the wrong street. Yeah, okay. And that's why I do. And your neighbors, I'm telling you, your neighbors know your moves. They know. They know better than you do. They know your routine. Trust me. And children give us all the information. Love them.
My name is Rita Ross, and I thank you so much for being here and sharing. This is so important, so needed. My question is, what could you say are the maybe top 2 or 3 reasons why there are violent acts perpetrated against women? If that's within the realm of...
Because women are seen as an easier target. That's the bottom line. If a suspect had to choose between a male and a woman walking down the street, the first thing he's going to do, if one's over here and one's over there, the first thing he's going to do is go for the woman, because the assumption is, and it's not always right, but the assumption is that the woman is the easier target. That's why. So, and just to your question about the mouse real quick, as far as yelling, one of the things that I tell the women when I do my classes, don't yell help, because nobody looks out the window when you yell help.
Right.
When you yell fire, everybody's looking out the window. If you fake pass out, or like I told somebody, I pretended one time I had Tourette's. And somebody came and they tried to say something, tried to come towards me. I said, dog, cat, vet. And they were looking at me like, she's crazy. And they turned around and went another direction. You'd be surprised what works. And some people say, well, I don't, it seems kind of silly, but you do what works. That's the bottom line. You do what works.
Okay. Yes, in the back?
One question, we were just talking moments ago about the stun guns. Is there a minimum age requirement for those?
I'm going to say 18. 18, but just remember what Officer Davis said. Stun guns, you have to be close to somebody, and they don't always work. We've been in situations where we've actually tased people, and they pull them right off and keep coming.
Especially if they're high.
If they're high, a stun gun ain't gonna do nothing.
Yeah. And the stun gun is only for one particular area that you're hitting.
Right. Now, unless you want to go.
Yeah, well, okay, Deidre.
All right, Deidre.
All right, Deidre.
I don't know if you're going to get a chance to start it, but if you get a chance, that's fine.
Right. I wanted to say something regarding your homes. I've done a ton of burglary reports, breaking and entering, and most of the time it's through an open door, open window house. Somebody gets in your house, and I know it's summertime, it's 90 degrees, y'all got fans in the window, but when you're not home, close those windows, lock them, make sure, triple check the door, make sure it's locked, because that's another way that you can prevent yourself from being a victim. Just taking those precautionary steps, going the extra mile, making sure your house is secure.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's just something I wanted to add.
It's so silly.
All right, one last question in close 1:30. The brother in the back.
Oh, nice.
A couple quick things. One, because it happened to my wife. Ladies, when you're in the store, you got your purse in the cart, don't turn your back even for a second. It only takes that long to take it and walk away. 2, when you're home, some of the obvious signs that you're not home or home. A single friend of mine, she leaves her garage door up when she's home, and the car's there, and when she's not. Those are things that people pick up on. Don't do things like that. Or you know, or it's a sign that you're coming right back out quickly, and it's another one of those regular things that people pick up on that can make you an easy victim. But am I right?
You're absolutely right.
But I just wanted to say that real quick.
Thank you.
Okay. Is it 1:30? Okay, so, wow. Tracy, we love you.
Thank you.